I was watching Jasper play that stupid Mario Kart drinking game at Griffin's party, and honestly, he was being so embarrassing. Like he kept doing these weird victory dances every time he won a race. And I'm sitting there thinking, are you 12? The other guys were probably just being polite by laughing along. He was already pretty drunk, too, which meant he'd be all clingy and gross later when we got home. I stayed mostly sober because someone had to be the responsible one. Obviously, that's always how it goes with us. I'm the one who has to think ahead and actually use my brain while he just does whatever feels good in the moment. The party was packed. Griffin said there were like 50 people crammed into his house, and it was getting loud and messy fast. I watched Jasper stumble around spilling his drink and laughing way too hard at everything. He'd been driving me absolutely insane for weeks before this. He'd just sit there playing video games while I tried to have actual conversations about our relationship. And when I'd get frustrated, he'd be like, "Why are you being so dramatic?" I was getting tired of feeling like I didn't matter to him. Like he took me completely for granted. Around midnight, Jasper was completely wasted. I mean, blackout drunk. He could barely stand up straight and his words were all slurred together. I helped him to Griffin's couch, where he basically passed out immediately, mouth hanging open, dead to the world. That's when it hit me. He wouldn't remember anything from tonight. Literally nothing. And suddenly, I had this idea. I found Beckett by the kitchen nursing a beer and scrolling through his phone. Beckett was my best friend, had been for years, and he knew how frustrated I'd been getting with Jasper lately. "Hey," I said, pulling him aside. "I need you to do me a favor." "What kind of favor?" he asked, looking suspicious already. Jasper's completely blacked out. He's not going to remember anything tomorrow. I paused, watching his face. "I'm going to tell him he kissed you." Beckett's eyes went wide. "What?" "Sloane. No. That's insane. Just go with it when I bring it up, okay? He's been treating me like garbage lately. And maybe if he thinks he messed up, he'll actually start paying attention to me for once." I could see Beckett wavering. "Come on, you owe me after I helped you with that whole job interview thing last month." "I don't know about this. It's not like I'm trying to hurt him or anything. I just want him to care about our relationship as much as I did. And it's not permanent. I'll tell him the truth in a few days, once he gets his act together." Beckett looked uncomfortable, but he finally nodded. "Fine, but just for a couple days, right?" "Right," I said, though I was already getting excited, thinking about how different things would be, how attentive Jasper would become, how he'd actually listen to me for once, instead of dismissing everything I said. The next morning, Jasper woke up at my place looking absolutely miserable. His hair was sticking up everywhere, and he kept squinting at the light like it was personally attacking him. "What the hell happened last night?" he groaned, holding his head. I took a deep breath. This was it. "You cheated on me." The color drained from his face. "What?" "No, I didn't. I would never." "You kissed Beckett." I tried to look hurt and betrayed, which wasn't hard since I'd been feeling ignored for weeks. "Anyway, I don't remember that." "I'm sorry. I don't remember. I'd never do that to you, Sloane." He was already scrambling, reaching for me desperately. "I'm so sorry. I was too drunk. I don't know what happened." And just like that, he was begging. Actually, begging for my forgiveness. When was the last time he'd cared this much about my feelings? When was the last time I'd seen him this upset about the possibility of losing me? It felt amazing, if I'm being honest. For months, I'd felt like he barely noticed I existed. And now, suddenly, I was the most important thing in his world. We spent hours talking about it. He kept apologizing over and over, asking what he could do to make it right, promising it would never happen again. His phone buzzed with a text from Arya. "Hey man, sorry about the broken bottles last night. Griffin's pretty pissed about the mess." Jasper looked even more horrified. "I broke bottles too. What the hell is wrong with me?" He immediately called Griffin to apologize and insisted on coming over that day to pay for the damages. I watched him pull $50 out of his wallet, money I knew he needed for groceries this week, and handed it over to Griffin with this pathetic, guilty expression. Then he actually went to the store and bought Griffin a broom, gift-wrapped it, and brought it over like some kind of peace offering. It was ridiculous, but also kind of sweet in a way. When was the last time he'd put this much effort into anything for me? When Beckett came over later that week, he could barely look Jasper in the eye. I explained to Jasper how it happened, how he'd grabbed Beckett's face and kissed him right there in front of everyone. Beckett just nodded along, looking miserable, but he stuck to the story like I'd asked. The weeks that followed were honestly the best our relationship had been in months. Jasper was attentive, caring, constantly checking in with me. At parties, he'd limit himself to just 2 beers and stay by my side the whole time. He'd ask permission before talking to other girls, even just casual conversations. He completely avoided Beckett, which was probably for the best anyway. Whenever we got into arguments about normal relationship stuff, I could just bring up what happened at Griffin's party, and immediately Jasper would back down and apologize. "You're right," he'd say. "I messed up so badly already. I should be doing better." It was like having a magic reset button for every disagreement. I kept telling myself I'd reveal the truth soon. Just a few more days of him actually treating me like I mattered. Just a little longer of feeling like a priority in his life instead of an afterthought. But honestly, it was working so well. He cared. He listened. I liked how he treated me after the whole thing. Why ruin something that was finally going right? Months passed like this. 6 months, actually. Jasper stayed on his best behavior, and I got used to being the center of his attention. I'd almost forgotten it was all built on something that never actually happened. It just felt normal now. Like this was how our relationship was supposed to be. Then came the second party. It was smaller this time, only about 20 people at Arya's place. I was feeling good, confident. Jasper was still being the perfect boyfriend, and I was enjoying watching him nurse his 2 beer limit while staying close to my side all night. Beckett was there too, and I noticed him flirting with this girl, Clara, who was wearing a denim jacket. She was pretty, and Beckett was actually doing okay with her for once. I decided to be a good friend and help him out. "You should totally go for it," I whispered to him when Clara stepped away. "She's definitely into you." But something went wrong. Clara got weird and distant, and Beckett started looking embarrassed and frustrated. I tried to salvage it, but she basically shut him down completely and walked away. Beckett looked humiliated, and I felt bad for him. I'd been trying to help, and somehow it had backfired. That's when Beckett snapped. He was standing near the kitchen, and his voice carried across the whole party. "She lied. You never kissed me. She made it up because you blacked out." The room went dead silent. Everyone was staring. My stomach dropped through the floor. What the hell was his problem? So, some girl rejected him and now he was going to ruin everything. Are you kidding me right now? Jasper's face went through about 5 different emotions in 2 seconds. Confusion, realization, anger. He looked at me like he'd never seen me before. "You lied." People were starting to whisper and point. I could feel everyone's eyes on me. This was not how this was supposed to go. Beckett was supposed to keep his mouth shut. We had an agreement. "We need to talk outside now," Jasper said, his voice scary quiet. I followed him out to the backyard, my heart pounding. Maybe I could explain. Maybe I could make him understand why I'd done it. "You lied," he said again once we were alone. "Okay. Yes. But you annoyed me a lot." I said it was the truth. He had been annoying me. He'd been ignoring me and taking me for granted, and I just wanted him to care. "You invented cheating." His voice was getting louder. "I was going to tell you after a couple days, but then it was working. I tried to keep my voice calm, reasonable. You cared. You listened. I liked how you treated me after." He stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "Are you serious right now? You manipulated me for 6 months. You made me think I cheated on you. You made me hate myself." "It's not that big of a deal," I said. "And it worked, didn't it? We were good together. We were happy. We're done," he said, and started walking back toward the house. "Wait. You can't just leave," I called after him. "We can work through this. Couples fight all the time." But he was already gone, pushing through the back door without looking back. I stood there in the yard for a few minutes, trying to process what had just happened. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. I'd been planning to tell him eventually anyway. Why was everyone being so overdramatic about the whole situation? When I went back inside, the party had basically cleared out. People were avoiding eye contact with me or giving me these judgmental looks. Arya was cleaning up cups with this tight expression on her face. Griffin was shaking his head like I'd personally disappointed him. Over the next few days, My phone was weirdly quiet. Usually our friend group had constant group chats going, but suddenly I wasn't getting included in plans. When I did see people, they'd give me these looks like I was some kind of monster or something. Some of the girls got it though. Guys need a wake-up call sometimes, Maya told me. Everyone's being way too dramatic about this. Chloe agreed that people were overreacting and that relationships were complicated. At least someone understood that I wasn't trying to be malicious. I was just trying to fix things between us. Beckett sent me this long, pathetic text apologizing for ruining everything and saying he felt terrible about his part in it. I didn't even bother responding. He was the one who couldn't keep his mouth shut when some random girl hurt his feelings. He was the one who made that scene at the party and humiliated me in front of everyone. What was I supposed to say to that? The worst part was how people kept acting like I'd done something unforgivable. Like, yes, I lied about the kiss, but Jasper had been a terrible boyfriend before that happened. He'd been ignoring me and dismissing my feelings for months. I was just trying to get his attention, to make him realize what he had before he lost it. And it worked. We were happy for 6 months. We were closer than we'd ever been. But apparently, that didn't matter to anyone. Apparently, I was supposed to just accept being ignored and taken for granted because that's what honest people do. Well, where did being honest get me before? Nowhere. At least when I took control of a situation, I got results. I started hanging out with a different group of friends, people who didn't know the whole story and weren't going to judge me for one mistake. It wasn't hard to find new people to spend time with. Within a month, I had a whole new social circle, and honestly, they were more fun anyway. Less drama, less judgment, more understanding of how complicated relationships can be. The old friend group kept trying to make me feel guilty about what happened. They'd post pictures of themselves hanging out without me, like they were trying to show me what I was missing. But I wasn't missing anything. I was doing fine. Better than fine, actually. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Jasper was telling people he couldn't date within the group again and that he'd learned his lesson about trusting people, which was pretty rich considering he was the one who'd been a bad boyfriend in the first place. I was the one who tried to fix our relationship and I was the one getting punished for it. People kept saying things like, "You manipulated him," and "you emotionally abused him," which was ridiculous. Abuse. Really? I made him think he kissed my friend one time. I didn't hit him or scream at him or cheat on him for real. I just wanted him to appreciate me. I wanted him to treat me like I mattered. And when he did, we were both happier. How was that abuse? The thing is, nobody understood what I was going through in that relationship. They didn't see how he'd ignore me when I tried to talk about my feelings. They didn't see how he'd choose video games over spending time with me every single night. They didn't see how dismissive he was whenever I brought up problems in our relationship. I was drowning in that relationship, feeling invisible and unimportant. And I found a way to fix it. I found a way to make him care. And it worked. For 6 months, I had the boyfriend I'd always wanted. For 6 months, he actually listened to me and prioritized our relationship and made me feel loved. But apparently that doesn't matter because of how I got there. Apparently, the method matters more than the results. Well, I disagree. I think sometimes you have to take control of your own happiness instead of just accepting whatever scraps people throw your way. My new friends understand this. They've been in complicated relationships too, and they know that sometimes you have to be creative to get what you need. They don't judge me for doing what I had to do to save my relationship, even if it didn't work out in the end. And honestly, I'm better off without Jasper anyway. If he was going to throw away 6 months of happiness over one little lie, then he wasn't the right person for me. A stronger relationship would have survived something like this. A better boyfriend would have understood why I did what I did and worked with me to rebuild trust. Instead, he just walked away. Just like that, we're done, and he was gone. No discussion, no attempt to understand my side, no willingness to work through it together. That tells me everything I need to know about his commitment level. Beckett still avoids me when we run into each other around town. He gets this guilty, uncomfortable look on his face like he's the victim here. But he's not. He agreed to help me. And then, when things got hard for him personally, he threw me under the bus. That's not friendship. That's selfishness. I've learned a lot from this whole experience. I've learned that you can't rely on other people to keep their word even when they owe you favors. I've learned that some people will judge you no matter what your reasons are. And those people aren't worth having in your life. I've learned that sometimes you have to be willing to start over completely to find people who actually understand you. Most importantly, I've learned that I was right to take control of the situation when I did. Maybe it didn't work out long term, but for 6 months, I had exactly the relationship I wanted. For 6 months, I was happy and felt loved and appreciated. That's more than a lot of people get in their entire lives. The people who are calling me manipulative or abusive don't understand what it's like to feel invisible in your own relationship. They don't understand what it's like to beg for attention and affection and get nothing back. They don't understand what it's like to watch the person you love choose literally anything else over spending time with you. I do. I lived it for months before I finally did something about it. And when I did take action, it worked. Maybe not forever, but it worked when I needed it to. That has to count for something. So, no, I don't regret what I did. I regret that Beckett couldn't keep his mouth shut. I regret that Jasper wasn't willing to fight for our relationship when things got complicated. I regret that our old friend group was so quick to judge me instead of trying to understand my perspective. But I don't regret trying to save my relationship. I don't regret taking control when I felt powerless. I don't regret those 6 months of actually being happy with someone I loved. And I definitely don't regret finding out who my real friends are and who was just waiting for an excuse to turn on me. I'm in a better place now with better people, and a clearer understanding of what I will and won't accept in future relationships. If that makes me the bad guy in some people's stories, then so be it. I'd rather be the villain in their version than the victim in my own.